Good evening to all of the students, staff, friends, and family who join us here today. It is my absolute honor and privilege to be able to give everyone a warm welcome to the graduation ceremony of the class of 2021. I would like to congratulate each and every senior who joins me today in arriving at such a long-awaited moment. To start, I will first recognize the quality that defines our class: resilience. Throughout our high school careers, we have shown strength in a variety of ways, and we were always ready to surpass hardships. Yet we did so with a smile, a positive attitude. As Ms. Lerner and Ms. Cairns, our class advisors, would like to remind us, our class slogan is, after all, we're the class of 2021, we work hard, but we have fun. Freshman year. As the final class who was able to attend Maynard High School in 8th grade, we experienced being the new kids twice over. From being in a daunting new environment to drawing the short end of the stick in events such as Spirit Week, we faced adversity. However, having to dress in colors such as puce and rust did not deter us from making the best out of our situation and showing our spirit. We may have been new, but we happily looked forward to the years ahead. Being the youngest was no easy feat, but we did that. Sophomore year. At this time, with 2 years at MHS already under our belt, we gained confidence. Yet, challenging experiences still lay ahead. Many of us began the process of getting our driver's license. Some of us took our first AP class. With harder coursework and more to be done outside of class, such as completing drive times and tackling our first jobs, this year provided us with more hurdles. Yet with these circumstances, we were gifted the opportunity to grow as individuals. We became more capable, academically, professionally, and personally. The new skills we gained during that year would only push us to a greater level of achievement. We did that. Junior year. This year may have been the most dreaded. We had always been told that it would be tough by upperclassmen, friends, and family. We took the hardest classes yet and were forced to maintain a balancing act of extracurriculars, homework, and other obligations. This year is perfectly summarized by a famous intellectual. Albert Einstein once said, "Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving." We were able to push through tests, quizzes, sports games, and that one infamous chemistry paper with all of our might. We evolved as academics, athletes, writers, people. That year, we learned the value of hard work, and we were able to grasp the idea that from struggle, defeat, and failure, there is born a new individual, one stronger than before. To finish off our time as juniors at MHS, COVID threw us one last curveball. But the adaptability of the students, teachers, and faculty led us to the finish line. We all did that. Senior year. Months into the pandemic, this year was sure to be unique. At first, senior traditions and fun events were put on hold, replaced with students at home, alone, attending class from a stationary seat. The pandemic defined our final year in the most unexpected way possible. With college applications looming, there was no time to rest, and senioritis was no help to us either. But as we proved in the past years, our class is constantly prepared to combat adversity. We accomplished many things, not limited to altered sports seasons, adapted band and chorus concerts, and a slew of AP tests to top it off. We even kept our spirits high during the recent weeks with notable events such as a Red Sox game allowing us to spend time with our friends, along with the senior car parade letting us feel the love and support of our local community. Senior year was a challenge to say the least, but hey, we did that. Dr. Seuss, the accomplished writer and cartoonist, wrote that today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. And the significance is this: the challenges we face, the mountains we have to climb, they all build our character. Do not feel discouraged in the face of adversity, for that is a part of life. I am confident that the class of 2021 is destined for greatness. I have seen all of the commitment displayed by our class, the varieties of passions that guide us. This day is well deserved. We will soon be awarded our diplomas and be on our way to new pursuits, but for now, after reflecting on what defines us as students of MHS, congratulations, class of 2021, we did that. Now please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our national anthem sung by Caitlin Haley. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight of the ramparts we watched, so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare now was bursting in air, yet through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I would now like to welcome up student government officers Talia Calagio, Lindsay Campbell, and Carolyn Norris.
Good evening, guests, faculty, administration, and most importantly, fellow graduates. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate my peers. We have all grown immensely in our time together. I was asked to speak to you today on behalf of the Student Council, where I served as secretary of my class for 3 years before transitioning to student body secretary my senior year. It is the skills I learned through Student Council, the friendships I developed, and my 3 wonderful advisors, Miss Lerner, Miss LaBelle, and Miss Cairns, who helped shape me into the person I am today. As a loving ode to my time in Student Council, STUCO for short, I've created an acrostic poem describing what the Student Council stands for and what I hope it will continue to stand for. S stands for supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious, this word is composed of a variety of different adjectives, just as suko is composed of a variety of different opinions, each of equal importance. It is when they stand together that they are strong. T stands for thankful. This year, Suko hosted a compliment week, where we challenged peers and faculty to submit compliments to each other. I was not surprised when we ran out of sticky notes and room on the wall within a couple of days. Witnessing this outpouring of support has been a typical occurrence during my time here. U stands for unifying. Suko is responsible for uniting the entire school community and facilitating positive peer interaction through Spirit Week and March Madness. As many of my peers can probably attest, there is nothing like walking into school and seeing your teacher dressed as Indiana Jones or a caveman or anything else you can think of. If it is something utterly ridiculous, we have probably done it. C stands for community service. This holiday season, the Suko rallied the school for a food pantry stock-up and Toys for Tots competition. I was proud to see the boxes upon boxes of toys lined up in our lobby. Suko is just one of the many moving forces that makes Maynard such a close-knit, supportive community. Lastly, O stands for opportunity. Every single student at MHS has the opportunity to get involved in Suko, to become a leader, and to belong to something greater than themselves. And with that, I will leave you with a quote from my biggest role model, Barbara Pierce Bush. Some people give time, some money, some their skills and connections. Some literally give their life's blood, but everyone has something to give. Take the chance and run. You too have something valuable to give. Thank you and congratulations again to my fellow graduates. I wish you all the best of luck.
I would now like to welcome up Student Body President Patrick Briggs.
Hello, and good evening, parents, relatives, teachers, friends, and the reason we are all here, the Maynard class of 2021. For those who don't know me, my name is Patrick Briggs, and I'm the president of the senior class. Before I say anything else, I want to thank all the Maynard teachers who went above and beyond, and forwards and backwards, while standing on their heads to keep us learning. You taught us by example how to adapt and thrive in extraordinary circumstances. You know, it's amazing how much we've all changed over the last 4 years. On my first day at the high school, I could barely reach my locker. We were in 8th grade, and I remember thinking most of the upperclassmen must be at least 10 years older than me. I only got lost once trying to find my way to the gym. Then comes 9th and 10th grade. Well, I still had trouble opening my locker. Junior year, and I was like, yay, this is the year for sure. And then COVID descended on the world, and I never got to use my locker. While trying to figure out what to say today, I came across this Chinese proverb. Be not afraid of growing slowly, be only afraid of standing still. These words struck me because isn't that what we, the Maynard class of 2021, have done these 4 years despite of our challenges. Last March we left school, planning to be gone for a week or so. We all got used to working from our beds while playing video games, or if you have a crazy mother like me, sitting at a desk in an upright position. Then the start of senior year, still at our homes, still in our beds, with more Google Meets. Thankfully, things slowly moved toward normal when we were allowed to play soccer, but with masks on. By Thanksgiving, our school opened to cohorts and teachers saw our real faces in place of virtual faces. And by the time our college acceptance letters were arriving, we were preparing for a real prom and a real in-person family-invited graduation. Yes, the class of 2021 moved slowly, but we never ever stood still, and we never will. After a crazy year where we've been consumed by a pandemic, protest after protest about racial injustice, and a bitter election, it's more clear than ever that we need to move forward as a society. When you see something you don't agree with, say something, do something, or speak up. Vote. If you're not old enough now, you will be soon. Vote in a local election, national election, or for a better class president. Just keep moving. Today, we look toward our own past, away from Maynard High School, away from the past. We will go out on our own into the larger world, learning things we don't know yet and seeing things we haven't thought of. But we all have this place in common, Maynard. Whether you plan to go to college, trade school, the military, or straight into the workforce, I encourage you to travel. Get out of Maynard, out of Massachusetts, and explore the world. Over the next few years, time will speed up on us. One day, we'll be sitting in the bleachers, looking at our own children in their caps and gowns, listening to another awe-inspiring speech from another devastatingly handsome class president. So keep growing, slowly or quickly, keep reaching, regardless of whether the locker is even there. Remember what we survived, together and with the help of this amazing community of Maynard. Finally, I'd like to announce that the senior class the class gift will be 2 cherry trees that will be planted this spring. Thank you. I'd also like to say thank you to Miss Lerner and Miss Terrence for your invaluable leadership over the last 4 years. These flowers are for you from
There will now be a virtual choral performance from the MHS Chorus, who will be singing How Far I'll Go from Moana. would now like to welcome up our class of 2021 valedictorian, Lily Weber. Earlier, Alyssa welcomed us with the salutatory address, the salutation, and now it's time for the valedictory address, the farewell speech. I was curious where the word valedictorian comes from, so I looked it up and found that its roots are from the Latin words meaning to say goodbye. Following my speech, we'll all get our diplomas, and in case you're curious where the word diploma comes from, its roots are from the Greek words meaning double-folded paper. This speech is a reflection on my time in Maynard, a farewell in the context of a commencement, a beginning. Previously, when I've spoken in front of the whole school, the occasion was reading the class poem for Spirit Week. Since freshman year, when I happened to become our class poet, I've been daunted by the prospect of writing the senior poem, which traditionally includes a fun fact about each member of the class. I feared I wouldn't be able to come up with something interesting to say about everyone. But this year, when my friend Talia and I wrote the poem over a video call, it turned out to be the easiest poem yet. We realized that we had something to say about every single person in our class. I didn't appreciate how personalized and how supportive a community Maynard is until I heard from kids who've had a different experience than us. Kids I play tennis with from surrounding towns talk about how stressful, how overwhelming their schools can be. I never felt that sense of competition here. One friend even told me she wished she went to school in Maynard. In Maynard, I knew I could ask for help from my teachers, most of whom I'd gotten to know over multiple years. I knew I could go to my guidance counselor for even the smallest of questions. I knew I could get involved with any activity that interested me, like the Fowler Talent Show, or the radio station WABM, or the orchestra pit for Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I like to explore every opportunity that I can, and in Maynard, all I had to do was ask. My reflection wouldn't be complete without mentioning the pandemic. The pandemic has reshaped everything, even the way we speak. Before last year, people didn't converse about antibodies and spike proteins and mRNA vaccines. On Webster's, asynchronous, hybrid, virtual, and cohort are now in the top 1% of most looked up words. In the past, phrases like, "You're muted," "My Wi-Fi's not working," "Type it in the chat," would have sounded nonsensical during a normal school day, and we wouldn't have relied so heavily on thumbs up and waving to communicate with our teachers. Seniors always used to get a t-shirt at the beginning of the year. Our class got tiger masks as well. People used to ask me what grade I'm in, not whether I'm even going to school at all this year. Perhaps the pandemic can open our minds to rethinking other aspects of our lives as well. What if, as an extreme example, we rethought the origin of life itself? The chair at Harvard's astronomy department, Avi Loeb, did just that. In his book Extraterrestrial, Loeb claims we're arrogant to believe that we're the only intelligent life in the universe. He hypothesizes that life didn't even originate here on Earth. Would you believe him that around 4 billion years ago, life arrived on Earth via a piece of debris that broke loose from Mars? His theories are disputed, but Loeb presents compelling evidence. It sounds radical, but it also would have been hard to believe that our last year and a half of high school would be dominated by a global pandemic. Pandemics used to seem distant, something from the lifetime of my great-grandmother who cared for her family during the 1918 flu. Now, life without a pandemic seems distant. Yet the coronavirus, despite all the firsts it has subjected us to, is the second pandemic our class has lived through. Our school career has been framed by pandemics. Remember the swine flu pandemic back in kindergarten? We even had some triple E in between. I never thought I'd be excited to get a vaccine. I used to dread going to the doctor for a shot. It seemed less scary to risk catching the obscure disease. Now, a vaccine is a farewell to isolation, a passport back into the world. An injection of genetic material means going out to restaurants, going on vacation, going to college. The pandemic, however tragic, hasn't been without positive aspects. One example is the SAT, the test many high schoolers worry about and think will determine the rest of their careers. But this year, a lot of students, including myself, were pleased to learn that those tests wouldn't matter at all. Because of the pandemic, some colleges, the entire University of California system for one, have rethought their values and decided to eliminate standardized tests and ease the anxiety of future students. The coronavirus pandemic and Beethoven's Fifth Symphony have something in common. They violate expectations, sometimes. If Beethoven had written every chord progression to sound exactly like what listeners expected, no one would remember his piece 2 centuries after its composition. Likewise, if our senior year had proceeded exactly as planned, we wouldn't have these unique memories. Besides, I would have had less material for this speech. This day commences a future that we look forward to. Even if it isn't always what we expect, at least we'll be able to see each other's faces without a screen in between, and we can all unmute. Thank you.
Lily would thank Mrs. Cairns for inspiring her to pursue biochemistry in college, as well as her parents and the rest of her teachers. Lily is planning on attending Smith College.
Alisa Barilli. Alisa would like to thank her mom, dad, her brother Michael, and her grandparents for their love and support, as well as all her favorite teachers throughout the years who encouraged her academic goals. Alisa is planning on attending Northeastern University.
Patrick Briggs. Patrick would like to thank his parents, sisters, Katie and Rachel, and the Grampster for always supporting him. Patrick is planning on attending James Madison University in the fall.
Kate Rover. Kate would like to thank her mom for supporting her over the years, along with the rest of her family and friends. She would also like to thank Miss Lerner and Miss Tarrant and the rest of her teachers for their encouragement throughout her time at MHS. Kate is planning on attending Northeastern University.
Henry Bourgeois. Henry would like to thank Carolyn and Jay for being his #1 fans, helping him along the way, and for redoing the deck. Henry is planning on attending Bentley University in the fall.
Benjamin Lestever. Ben would like to thank his amazing parents, Pam and Dave, for preparing him for his life before, during, and after high school. Ben would like also to thank his brother Sam and his dogs, Coco and Katie. Ben is planning on attending the University of Rhode Island.
Aurora Estabrook. Aurora would like to thank her mom, dad, sister, grandma, and friends for all of their advice and support. She would also like to thank Miss LeBlanc for inspiring her to pursue math in college, and Mrs. Lerner and Mrs. Cairns for being the most amazing class advisors. Finally, she would like to thank the rest of her teachers for their compassion and encouragement over the years. Aurora is planning on attending Mercer University.
Ari Kiriti. Ari would like to thank Mr. Kozak, Miss Blanchard, and Miss Gately for inspiring his love of music and the arts and supporting him throughout every audition. He would also like to thank Miss Terrence and Miss Lerner for inspiring his interest in the sciences and being the best class advisors. Finally, his mom, dad, and grandmother for their support.
Erin Mahoney. Erin would like to thank her mom, her sister Shannon, and her brothers Ryan and Declan for all their love and support throughout the years. She'd like to thank all her teachers, especially Mrs. Fleeky and Miss Murphy, for giving her a great learning experience. She would like to give a huge shout out to all the staff at the Boys and Girls Club because she couldn't have done it without them. She also wants to thank her friends for all the fun and lasting memories. Erin is planning on attending LaSalle University.
Brandon Wagner. Brandon would like to thank his family for all the support and love. He would also like to thank his friend for a great 4 years and wishes all his classmates the best of luck. Brandon is planning on attending Coastal Carolina University.
Talia Calagero. Talia would like to thank her mom, dad, and Rocky for their unconditional love and support. Her grandparents and Auntie Mary Ann for cheering her on every step of the way, and for all the incredible staff at MHS who shaped her into the person she is today. Talia would like to give a special shout out to Miss LaBelle for being her school mom, Miss Cairns for inspiring her love of science, and Miss McPhee for always being there for her. Talia is attending Assumption University.
Lindsay Campbell. Lindsay would like to thank her mom and grandmother for always supporting and encouraging her throughout the years, as well as the rest of her family. She would like to thank her teachers for making the past 4 years a fun learning experience. She also would like to thank her friends for creating such fun memories over the years. She's excited for the next chapter in her life and wishes the best for the rest of her classmates. Lindsay is planning on attending the University of Maine.
Michaela Carey. Michaela would like to thank her family and friends who supported her through the years and the amazing teachers she's had that always encouraged her. She pursued her passions because of these people and became a stronger person. She's excited for what the future will hold and grateful that none of them ever gave up on her. Michaela is planning on attending the Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts.
Tori Carroll. Tori would like to thank her family and friends who supported her through the years that she had together with them, and the careful teachers that helped her there too. Tori has fought this long way to get where she needs to be in her life. She's going to miss all her classmates and teachers. Be safe out there, everyone. Tori is planning on attending Sungan State University.
Sophia Clark. Sophia would like to thank her mom, dad, brothers, Noni, and Teddy for always pushing her to do the best she can be and everything they have done for her. She thanks her teachers for putting up with her for all 4 years. She would also like to thank her friends for all of the great memories. She is so excited for the next chapter of her life and wishes the best for all of her classmates. She is planning on attending Worcester State University.
Sarah Clements. Sarah would like to thank her parents and Julia for always supporting her throughout her high school career. She would like also to thank her teachers and guidance counselors for making it possible for her to graduate this year. Sarah is planning on attending Middlesex Community College.
Rory Copley. Rory thanks his mom and dad, his sister Sophie, and Teddy for their endless support and always being there for him. He also thanks his teachers and other MHS faculty for helping him graduate. He thanks all of his friends throughout the years for the great memories and fun times. He wishes nothing but the best for all of his classmates and hopes they have a great life after school. Rory is planning on attending Suffolk University.
Daniel Cochran. Daniel would like to thank his family, friends, and all the faculty and staff of Maynard Public School who have supported him throughout the years. Daniel is planning on attending UMass Law.
Alexandria Cormier. Allie would like to start off by thanking Mr. Flynn, Miss Mack, and Miss McPhee for letting her hang out in their rooms when she didn't feel like going to class. She would like to thank Cap for being a legend. She'd also like to thank the rest of her family and Casey and Dorinda for always supporting her. She'd also like to give a special thanks to anyone that ever sent her homework answers. She wouldn't be here without you. Allie will be attending UMass Lowell.
Virginia Crossland. Virginia would like to thank her mom and dad for the endless support, her teachers for the endless patience, especially Mr. Treadle. She's still not sure how he put up with the French class. She would also like to thank her friend for getting her through the past year. She wishes the best for all her classmates in pushing their future. Virginia is planning on attending the University of Maine.
Elizabeth Ash Downs. Elizabeth would like to thank Mrs. Maynard, Mrs. Sullivan, Mrs. Thompson, Mrs. San Giovanni, Ms. Vavra, and Mr. Flynn. I would also like to thank my mom, brothers, Granny Knight, and Ziggy. Lastly, I'd like to thank the lunch ladies for the great food. Thank you for all you have done for me after attending all these years of school. Elizabeth is planning on a gap year.
Samuel Duncan. Sam would like to thank his mom, dad, brother Jack, and his grandmothers for all the support throughout the years. He would also like to thank his friend and the soccer team and coaches. Sam is planning on attending Roger Williams University.
Thomas Fallon. Tommy would like to thank his family and teachers for always pushing him to do better and lending him a helping hand when he needed it. He would also like to thank the members of Troop 130 for all the valuable life lessons and values that they've instilled with him. Troop 130 has had an irreplaceable impact on my life. Without them, I would be a totally different person, and I don't think I would like that person. Tommy is planning on attending Duquesne University.
Caitlin Peterson. Katie would like to thank her dad for always being there throughout all this year. A special thanks to all her friends, mother, who have taken her in and given her endless support. She also would like to thank Sophia, Mia, and Robbie for being the very best friends throughout every year, every up and down she couldn't have done without you guys. She would like to thank all of her friends throughout high school. Thank you, Mr. Karajanis, Ms. Petrosky, Mr. Ogden, for never giving up on her. She wishes the best of luck to every single other graduate. Lastly, she would like to say sorry to Mr. Caruso for all her troublemaking days.
Thomas Fitzsimmons. Tommy would like to thank his teachers, classmates, coaches, teammates, friends, and family for being there whenever he needed them and helping him when he needed it. He would like to give the biggest thanks to his parents for raising him along with 6 other kids. He would also like to congratulate them on having all 7 of their kids graduate high school and move on to bigger and better things in life. Tommy is planning on attending UMass Amherst.
Haley Fry. Haley would like to thank her family for always believing in her and never giving up on her. She would also like to thank Ms. Alva and Ms. Maxey for helping her succeed through her high school year. Haley is planning on attending Mass Bay Community College.
Allison Gangrock. Allison would like to thank her parents, brother, and grandparents for always pushing her and being there for her throughout all of her high school. She would also like to thank all of the teachers she has had over the years, especially Ms. Vavra and Mrs. Kaliki. She is so excited for the next chapter in her life and wishes nothing but the best for the rest of her classmates. Allison is planning on attending Stonehill College.
Edward Gargas. Teddy would like to thank his family for helping him through high school. He would also like to thank Mr. Patano, Miss Murphy, and Miss Yondo for everything they have done. Teddy is planning on entering workforce.
Daniel Garber. Daniel would like to thank his mother, father, and his brother Will, among the rest of his family, for their help through his high school years. He would also like to thank his teachers, coaches, and friends for helping him to reach his goals and prepare him for the years to come. He wouldn't have been able to do it without them and is eternally grateful for all they've done. Danny is attending UMass Lowell.
Samantha's grandson. Samantha would like to thank her mom, dad, and sister Megan, as well as the rest of her family for always being there for her. She would like also to thank all her teachers for giving her a great learning experience at MHS. She also wants to thank her friends for making the past 4 years so memorable. Samantha is planning on attending Assumption College.
Caitlin Khalid. Caitlin would like to thank her mom and friends who were always by her side throughout her life. She would also like to thank all of her teachers and the ones who always believed in her. Miss LaBelle, Mr. Flynn, Mr. Rondo, and Miss Blanchard. And thank you, Mr. Luther, for always checking up on Fuzzball's well-being. Caitlin is kind of panicking about college, but she knows she will be okay. Caitlin is planning on attending Framingham State University.
Jason Hall. Jason would like to thank his parents for always being there for him, Miss Murphy, Mrs. Napoli, and Mr. Paterno for helping him through his high school career, his friends, and even though he left without saying goodbye and crushed his heart, he can't forget to say thank you to Mr. Ozek. Jason is taking a gap year.
Avery Hebert. Avery would like to thank Ms. Baver and Ms. McPhee for their kind patience, generous support, and continued commitment to helping him overcome his obstacles, succeed in graduating, and making his high school experience a very memorable experience for him. Avery is planning on attending Middlesex Community College.
Nicole Helen. Nicole would like to thank her family, friends, and the staff at Maynard High School for everything they have done to help her get through this tough but awesome school year. She would especially like to thank Mr. Flynn, Miss Lerner, Miss Pilicki, Miss McPhee, Miss Quintal, Miss Corcoran, and Miss Blanchard for always believing in her. Nicole is planning on attending Universal Technical Institute, NASCAR Technical Institute in North Carolina.
Thomas Hellerstein. Tom would like to thank his mom, family, friends, and teachers. Tom is planning on attending Clark University.
Sam Hills. Sam would like to thank his family, friends, and the faculty members of MHS for creating a memorable high school experience. Sam is planning on attending Pennsylvania College of Technology.
Aiden Hobbs. Aiden would like to thank his mom, dad, friends, and family. Aiden is planning on attending Mass Maritime Academy.
Aiden Irwin. Aiden would like to thank his family and friends, and with a special shout out to Scooby and Buzz. Aiden is planning on attending Middlesex Community College.
Hannah Jakes. Hannah would like to thank her family, friends, and everyone that helped her to get through high school, especially her teachers, Mr. Flynn, Mr. Rondo, and Mr. Trudeau. She would also like to thank Mr. Luther for the sauntering and walking in the woods experience. Hannah is planning on attending Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts.
David Jones. David would like to thank his family, teachers, and friends. David is planning on attending Middlesex Community College.
Tyler Kapopoulos. Tyler would like to thank his friends and family for their love and support throughout his school career. He would also like to thank all the teachers for their continued help over the past 4 years especially Mrs. Oxaconis. Tyler is planning on taking a gap year.
Keller would like to thank his friends and family for their constant strength and support over the last 4 years. A special thank you goes to Mr. Ogden for helping Keller with his future film career. Keller is planning on attending University of Colorado Boulder.
Kara Leahy. Kara would like to thank her dad for the continuous support, her mom for the endless encouragement, and her brother for joining her at MHS for her senior year. She would also like to thank all of her teachers that got her here, with a special shout out to Miss McPhee. Kara is planning on attending Boston College.
Samuel Lestola. Sam would like to thank his dad for making him egg sandwiches every day, his mom for walking the dogs with him, and his brother for being a good roommate all these years. He would also like to thank his dogs Coco and Katie for being cute and keeping him company. Sam is planning on attending UMass Amherst.
Kyle Linfors. Kyle would like to thank his family, friends, teachers, and Molly and Pumpernickel for a wonderful 4 years. Kyle is planning on attending Fitchburg State University.
Jennifer DeVolsi. Jenny would like to thank her parents, sister, brother, and the rest of her family for all the support they have given her over the years. She would also like to thank her teachers for making her learning experience so fun and memorable. Lastly, she would like to thank all her friends for all the memories they have created over the past 4 years. Jenny is excited for the next chapter of her life, and she's wishing the best of luck to the rest of her classmates. Jenny is planning on attending Stonehill College.
Bailey Loomer. Bailey would like to thank his family and friends. Bailey is planning on going out into the workforce.
Emma Laurie. Emma would like to thank her parents, sister, friends, and teacher, especially Mr. Ogden, for supporting and believing in her throughout her high school career. She would also like to give a big shout out to her Uncle Dan for all his guidance and advice. Emma is planning on attending Middlesex Community College.
Jordan Lowry. Jordan will be attending the University of New Hampshire in the fall to study psychology. She would like to thank her parents, teachers, and friends for helping her grow and succeed over the years. She would also like to thank her Uncle Dan for his words of wisdom.
Reese Lowry. Reese would like to thank her entire family for their love and support, her Uncle Dan for being such an important mentor in her life, and for her second set of parents, Barry and Marian Roach. Reese is planning on attending UMass Amherst in the fall to pursue a degree in speech-language pathology. Mackenzie Monero. Mackenzie would like to thank her parents for being such an amazing support system throughout everything and always reminding her that the sky is the limit. She cannot thank her family enough for their constant love and support that they always provide. She'd also like to thank her best friend Nate for always pushing her to do her best and being so supportive of everything. Most importantly, she thanks God for her beautiful life and all the opportunities she has been given. She cannot wait for what the future holds and wishes her classmates the best of luck. During your life, never stop dreaming. No one can take away your dreams. Mackenzie is planning on attending the University of Rhode Island. Ariane Moroy. Ariane's gratitude goes to Mr. B and Mrs. Berger in Oasis for always advocating for her. Thank you to her brother Nathaniel for having her back and Nikita for pursuing her to the best she can be. To her papa to thank him for his unconditional love, integrity, guidance, and dad jokes. She wants a special thanks to her mom for the constant love and support on top of everything else she does. Lastly, she thanks God for helping her find the strength to push through and be here today. Good luck to the class of 2021 as we move forward with the rest of our lives. Ariane is planning on going to Middlesex Community College.
Sabrina McDonough. Sabrina would like to thank her mom and dad, her brother Joey, her aunt Mummy Da, her grandparents, and each of her cousins for their never-ending support. She would also like to thank her teachers, especially Miss Thompson, Miss McPhee, Miss McLean, and Miss Maynard for their advice and support throughout the years. She is planning on attending Suffolk University.
Daniel Moriarty. Daniel would like to thank his parents, siblings, and friends for all the support they have given throughout high school. He would also like to thank Mr. B and Mrs. Berger in Oasis for advocating for him. And lastly, he would like to thank everyone in the class of 2021 for the memorable 4 years. Daniel is planning on attending Middlesex Community College.
Ethan Mullen. Ethan would like to thank his mom, dad, Nana, and sister Jordan for their support throughout high school. He would also like to thank the friends, teachers, and coaches who have helped him to get to where he is today. He will always remember and appreciate the great experiences at Maynard High School. Ethan is planning on attending Colby College.
Justin No. Do whatever you want and don't let anyone tell you you can't. Thank you to my teachers for all the support I received by them, and I wish all my peers the best in everything. Dustin is planning on a gap year.
Carolyn Norris. Carolyn would like to thank her parents, brothers, cousins, aunts, uncles, and grandparents for supporting her throughout her life. She would also like to thank her coaches, teachers, and friends for making high school so memorable. Carolyn is planning on attending Hobart and William Smith colleges.
Melissa O'Leary. Melissa would like to thank her mom and dad, her brother and sister, as well as her teachers, Miss Valra, Miss McPhee, Miss McLean, and Mr. Flynn, all for putting up with her for the last 4 years. Melissa is planning on taking a gap year.
Dorinda Okorji. Dorinda would like to thank her mom and dad for always supporting her. She would also like to thank her teachers and coaches for helping her throughout the years. And lastly, she would like to thank Casey and Allie for always being there for her. Dorinda is planning on attending UMass Boston.
James Oliphant. Jimmy would like to thank his mom and his dad for everything they have done for him. He would also like to thank all of his teachers for giving him the opportunity of a firm learning experience for the past 4 years. He will always remember his high school years because of them. Most importantly, he wants to thank all his friends for 4 years of lasting memories. Jamie is planning on attending UMass Law.
Luis Ortiz. Luis would like to thank his dad, who gave him the opportunity to come to the United States and study in Maynard High School. He would also like to thank all of his teachers who helped him reach where he is today. These teachers are Mr. Paterno, Ms. Fernald, Ms. Lind, and Mr. Luther. Luis is planning on attending Quinsigamond Community College.
Nicholas Peterson. Nick would like to thank his mom and dad for all the support. He would like to thank the teacher for supporting him to do the best. Nick is planning on attending Bentley University.
Mia Primiano. Mia would like to thank her family for the endless support and encouragement they have given her. She would also like to thank her teachers and coaches that have helped her grow throughout the years to become who she is today. Lastly, she would like to thank her friends for all the memorable experiences and wishes the best for all of her classmates in the future. Mia is planning on attending the University of Rhode Island.
Jake Piccone. Jake would like to thank his family for supporting him throughout his high school career. He also would like to thank his teacher for helping him throughout these years, especially during COVID. Lastly, he would like to thank his friend for amazing memories and plenty more to come. Jake is planning on attending UMass Law.
Sean Roach. Sean would like to thank his mom, dad, sisters, grandparents, and Deb and Bruce Lowery for all their support over the years. Sean is planning on attending Bryant University.
Lucas Rangel. Lucas would like to thank John Flynn. He would also like to tell John Flynn how much it reminds Lucas of Walter White. Lucas is planning on a gap year.
Ian Sharp. Ian would like to thank his family for always pushing him to do better and all the other people he's met over the last 4 years for their support. Ian is planning on attending UMass Amherst.
Ava Silvio. Ava would like to thank her family for all the sacrifices they have made for her to become the person she is today, and the endless amount of support throughout the years, and her friend for always being by her side. She would also like to thank the teacher at MHS for encouraging her and pushing her to do the very best and making her high school experience one she was always cherished. Lastly, she wishes the best of luck to her classmates. Ava is planning on attending Middlesex Community College.
Casey Sturgeon. Casey would like to thank her friends and family for all the love and support she has received. She would also like to thank Mr. B, Mrs. Berger, and Mrs. Zimmerman for never giving up on her and always advocating for her, as well as Mrs. Paliki and Miss Lerner for showing her that school isn't so bad after all. Lastly, she would like to thank her mom, Nanny, Megan, Allie, Dorinder, Molly, Joe, Rachel, Daniel, and Ariane for always being there for her. She wouldn't be here without them. Casey is planning on attending Middlesex Community College.
Nicole South. Nicole would like to thank all her family and friends for all the love and support. She would also like to thank all of her teachers for all the guidance throughout the past 4 years. Nicole is planning on attending Quinnipiac University.
Molly Sullivan. Molly would like to thank her family and friends for always supporting her through the years. She would also like to thank Mrs. Cairns and Mrs. Lerner for making science fun. Molly is planning on attending University of Colorado at Boulder.
Robbie Callan. Robbie would like to thank her mom, her brothers, her stepdad, her uncle, and her grandmothers, and Mrs. A for always supporting her. Robbie is planning on attending Quisigaman Community College.
William Walsh. Billy would like to thank his family for supporting him throughout his high school career and allowing him to chase his goals. He would also like to thank his teachers and coaches for pushing him towards these goals. Billy is planning on attending Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts.
Aiden Young. Aiden would like to thank his parents, his brother, and his friends for always loving and supporting him throughout his high school career. He would also like to thank all of his coaches and teachers for making his high school experience more memorable. Aiden is planning on attending UMass Law.
Thank you.
I don't care about the clouds. I think it's a beautiful night for graduation. On behalf of co-principal Kevin Caruso, it's my honor to speak with you this evening. After nearly 15 months, just 4 days from now, on June 15th, the state of emergency in Massachusetts will come to an end. Though we aren't quite there yet, we are finally approaching the conclusion of one of the most trying periods in American history, a period that rivals past wars, disease outbreaks, and economic upheavals. And yet, through all these difficult months, the members of the class of 2021 have persevered to reach graduation this evening. They've not simply done their academic work. They've supported one another online and when possible in person. They have maintained connections with each other, their families, and their school. And when the pandemic finally began to abate, they enjoyed their prom, a trip to Fenway Park, senior pranks, I'm still seeing watermelons, a senior skip day, a senior parade, and now finally and deservedly their graduation. In a typical year, the principal's closing remarks at graduation across the country focus on advice for the future and a celebration of the 4 years just passed. But this has hardly been a typical year. This year, our graduates and their families and supporters have endured struggle, hardship, and loss, and have already gathered enough experience of the world to lend advice as much as to receive advice. So this year, rather than giving some advice, please allow me to do something just a bit different, and that is to simply share 2 reminders for the future and grant me an opportunity to give thanks. My first reminder is that life is precious and tenuous, and the time to care for one another, be kind to one another, forgive one another, share with one another, and love one another will always be right now, in the moment, in the present. All of us have learned this lesson over the last 15 months, including every senior here. I simply ask you to never forget that. My second reminder is that you're all resilient and you all can be successful. Through 15 months, you've persevered through extremely difficult conditions and still achieve your goal of high school graduation and laid down plans for the future. Whenever the going gets tough in the future, remember these past 15 months and know that you can power through challenges and ultimately succeed. And as for giving thanks, let me begin by thanking the assembled parents, family, friends, and guardians for setting up schoolrooms at home, for supporting each senior seated on this field, and for navigating this pandemic while dealing with myriad issues related to health, stress, economic strain, and family concerns. Please join me in saluting the parents, families, and friends who have supported our graduating seniors throughout the pandemic. Thank you. Next, I'd like to thank the faculty and staff of Maynard High School for their work over the past 15 months. When the pandemic struck, this group immediately began to plan for the best possible ways to support our students. A reopening team formed before the end of March in 2020, within a week of the initial shutdown, and met electronically weekly and sometimes more than weekly right through the summer and into the fall to make sure students had the materials they needed, teachers had the equipment and training they needed, and that logistics around scheduling and assessment met state requirements and student needs. They did this even as many attended to their own children's virtual schooling, or cared for elders, or even dealt with being sick themselves. Please join me in saluting the faculty of Maynard High. I'd also like to thank Superintendent Haas, the entire central office staff, along with the Maynard School Committee under Chair Lydia Clancy, for their continued support throughout the pandemic. They've pursued the funding and policy choices that have allowed the team at Maynard High School to provide the best education and support possible for our students under the circumstances we found ourselves in. Please join me in saluting the leadership of our district throughout the pandemic. Thank you. Finally, I'd like to thank the members of the class of 2021 themselves for their leadership in maintaining school and community morale and connection throughout the pandemic, for showing gratitude and thanks to each other, their teachers, and their community throughout these challenging months, and for continuing to work hard to achieve their goals and prepare themselves for a post-pandemic future. Please join me in saluting the class of 2021. I have one task left this evening. As the principal of Maynard High School, and upon the recommendation of the faculty, I hereby certify to the Maynard School Committee, Superintendent Haas, and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education that each member of the Maynard High School graduating class of 2021 has fulfilled all local and state standards required for high school matriculation. At this time, I declare that each senior assembled here is a graduate of Maynard High School with all the rights, honors, and privileges pertaining thereto. Ladies and gentlemen, the graduates of Maynard High School.